My mute, sister's daughter spoke after her parents left. Her words exposed everything. I was washing dishes when my 6-year-old niece walked into my kitchen, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Aunt Maya, why do Mommy and Daddy tell everyone I can't talk?" My hands froze under the water. Because according to my sister, her daughter hadn't spoken a single word in her entire life. My name is Maya Chen. I'm 31. I teach 2nd grade in Portland, Oregon. My older sister, Rebecca, is 35, married to a man named Colin, mother to a little girl named Emma. For the last 6 years, Rebecca has told everyone that Emma is nonverbal. Selective mutism, they called it, trauma from a difficult birth, developmental delays. They brought her to specialists. They posted about it online. They started a GoFundMe that raised over $40,000 for Emma's therapy and accessibility needs. I loved Emma. I believed every word. Until that afternoon in my kitchen when she spoke in full sentences, clear, confident, and completely fluent. It started 3 years ago. Rebecca called me crying. Emma's therapy bills were piling up. They needed $15,000 to cover a new specialist in Seattle who worked with nonverbal children. I didn't hesitate. I liquidated part of my retirement account and wired the money the same day. Rebecca thanked me, posted about it vaguely on Facebook, how family shows up when it matters. But she never mentioned my name. A month later, I saw photos from their vacation in Maui. Beach sunsets. Resort pools, Colin holding a Mai Tai. When I asked about the Seattle specialist, Rebecca got defensive. "We decided to wait," she said. "Emma wasn't ready yet." I didn't push. I thought I was being supportive, but I started wondering, where did my $15,000 actually go? Last Thanksgiving, Rebecca hosted 20 people, catered food, a rented dessert bar with a chocolate fountain. During dinner, Rebecca stood up and gave a speech. She talked about Emma's silent struggle. How hard it was to be a mother to a child who couldn't communicate. How exhausting. How isolating. People cried. Someone started a collection jar on the spot. My aunt handed Rebecca a check for $2,000. I sat there, watching my sister perform grief. After dinner, I found Emma alone in the playroom. I knelt beside her and signed, "Do you want to draw with me?" I'd been learning ASL to communicate with her. She stared at me. Then she picked up a crayon and wrote on the paper, "I can't hear you." Not in sign language, in written English, clear letters, perfect spelling. I froze. "Emma, you understand me?" She nodded. "Can you talk?" She looked toward the door, then she shook her head. That's when I realized she wasn't mute. She was scared. 2 months ago, Rebecca called me in a panic. Emma's school was threatening to move her to a special education program. They needed updated medical documentation proving her diagnosis. But their old doctor had retired, and the new one was asking questions. "Maya, I need you to write a letter," Rebecca said. "You're a teacher. You've seen Emma struggle. Just say you've witnessed her communication difficulties firsthand." I hesitated. "Rebecca, I'm not a medical professional. I can't diagnose." "I'm not asking you to diagnose," she snapped. "I'm asking you to help your niece. Do you care about Emma or not?" I wrote the letter. I hated myself for it, but I kept thinking about Emma in that playroom. The way she'd written those words, the way she'd looked at the door like someone was listening. What was my sister so afraid of? 3 weeks ago, Rebecca and Colin asked me to babysit Emma for the weekend. They were going to a couples retreat in Napa. I said yes immediately. I missed Emma. I wanted to understand what was happening. Saturday morning, I made Emma pancakes. She sat at the table, silent, pointing to the syrup. Rebecca and Colin left at 9. I watched their car disappear down the street. Then I turned to Emma. "They're gone," I said quietly. She looked at me. "Emma," I said, "you don't have to pretend with me." For a long moment, she didn't move. Then her eyes filled with tears. "Aunt Maya," she whispered, "I'm so tired." Her voice was small, clear, real. I sat down across from her, my heart pounding. "How long have you been able to talk?" "Always," she said. "I've always been able to talk." "Then why?" "Because Mommy told me not to." I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my couch with my phone in my hand, staring at Emma's words in my head. The next morning, I asked her to tell me everything. She spoke in that same small voice. When I was 3, Mommy and Daddy started telling people I couldn't talk. Mommy said it was a game, that we were going to pretend and people would help us and we'd get special things. What kind of special things? Money, trips, toys. Mommy said if I talked, the game would end and we'd lose everything. I felt sick. What happens if you talk in front of them? Emma looked down. Daddy yells, Mommy cries. They say I'm ruining everything, that I'm being selfish, that I don't love them. She was 6 years old. 6. I made a decision. I opened my laptop and started searching. Fraud, disability fraud, false diagnosis, GoFundMe scams. Then I found it, a legal aid organization that specialized in cases involving medical exploitation of children. I called Monday morning. The lawyer's name was Denise Park. She listened to everything. Then she said, "We'll need evidence. Can you document your niece speaking on video?" I recorded Emma that afternoon. I asked her questions. She answered full sentences, clear pronunciation, age-appropriate vocabulary. "Can you tell me why you don't speak at home?" "Because Mommy says I can't." "What happens if you do?" "She locks me in my room. She says I'm bad." I sent the video to Denise. Within 2 hours, she called me back. "Maya, this is serious. Your sister has likely committed wire fraud, child exploitation, and educational fraud. If she's received government benefits based on a false diagnosis, that's federal." "What do we do?" "I'm contacting Child Protective Services and the district attorney. Don't tell your sister yet. We need to move carefully." 2 days later, CPS showed up at Rebecca's house. They interviewed Emma privately at school. A forensic psychologist evaluated her. Within a week, the report came back. Emma was fully verbal, cognitively advanced, and showed signs of coercive control. The GoFundMe company froze Rebecca's account. The IRS opened an investigation. The school district launched their own review. And I got a call from my sister. Rebecca's voice was shaking. "What did you do?" I was calm. I'd been preparing for this. I protected Emma. "You recorded her. You sent it to a lawyer. Maya, she's my daughter. She's a child you've been exploiting for 3 years." Silence. "You raised $40,000, Rebecca. You took $15,000 from me. You got school accommodations, government benefits, sympathy, attention, all based on a lie." She was difficult. She was 3 years old. "You don't understand what it's like to be a mother." "I understand what it's like to watch someone manipulate a little girl into silence so they can buy vacations and designer bags." Her voice turned cold. "You're going to regret this." "No," I said, "I'm not." I hung up. 2 weeks later, the district attorney filed charges. Rebecca and Colin were charged with wire fraud, theft by deception, and child endangerment. The GoFundMe donors were refunded. My $15,000 came back with interest. Emma was placed temporarily with me while the case moved forward. Rebecca and Colin were allowed supervised visits, pending trial. At the preliminary hearing, Rebecca tried to claim Emma had suddenly recovered due to a miracle breakthrough. The prosecutor played my video. Then the psychologist testified. Then the school provided 6 years of documentation, progress reports, IEP meetings, accommodation requests, all based on a diagnosis that never existed. Rebecca's lawyer tried to argue miscommunication. The judge wasn't buying it. "Ms. Chen," the judge said, looking at Rebecca, "you systematically deceived your family, your community, educational institutions, and federal platforms to enrich yourself. You silenced your own daughter to maintain that deception. There's a word for that. It's not miscommunication. It's abuse." Rebecca started crying. Colin stared at the floor. The plea deal came a month later: restitution, probation, mandatory counseling, and a suspended sentence contingent on compliance. They lost custody. I became Emma's legal guardian. Emma lives with me now. She goes to a new school. She talks every day, too much sometimes, in the best way. She's loud and silly and curious and free. Last week she asked me, "Aunt Maya, why did Mommy lie?" I thought about it. "Because she wanted something more than she wanted to protect you." "Do you want something?" "Yes," I said. I want you to feel safe. I want you to use your voice. She smiled. I do now. I don't talk to Rebecca anymore. She sends letters sometimes, long, winding explanations about stress and mistakes and the pressure of motherhood. I don't respond. Emma doesn't ask to see her. Some people think I'm cruel, that I broke up a family. But I didn't break anything. I just stopped pretending the cracks weren't there. Because the truth is, silence isn't always golden. Sometimes it's just control.